out for people considering their retirement options. You're getting, either you're at the age or you're just making some serious plans, which I did, and I'm really glad I did, because even if your plans end up changing abruptly at the last second, which is exactly what happened to me, the fact that I had made so many plans and planned so robustly helped me massively when kind of the poo hit the fan, Two of the best things that helped me was planning to have some money. You're going to need, retirement's expensive, right? That's the number one reason everyone isn't retired. It's freaking expensive. But the other equally or even more helpful thing was that I had really conditioned myself, cleared my thinking, and got all the crap out of my head as far as like, I have to have 3 cars and a massive house and a vacation house and blah, whatever it is, all these things the world wants to tell me I'm supposed to want to be happy. And I ultimately became happy just with friendship, hitting the gym and doing certain basic things, and spending time with my boy and stuff like that. You can really change your thinking, you really can. So let's walk through the 3. I was fortunate. I had many challenges, and we can all look at our challenges and kind of, pity ourselves a little bit. But I also had a couple of nice things in the plus column too, which we tend to all mostly have as well, fortunately. And one thing that was kind of nice, working independently as a businessman, as a serial small business entrepreneur, independent inventor, and I owned my own small engineering company. It was generally it's just me as the only employee. I found that was best. I don't know if I'm really a great manager of other people. In fact, I would say I'm not. Just everyone's, not everyone's good at everything, right? I'm not good at that. I'm a terrible teacher and I'm a terrible manager. I don't know why, but I'm a condio, by myself kind of guy apparently. Other than working with my boy, which is absolutely freaking fantastic, but that's not the same thing as the general public. That's a massively different relationship. The fortunate part of all that was I had semi-retired a couple of times in my life. I had semi-retired at age 41, and that lasted for a while. The poop really hit the fan in my late 30s, but I came out of it, and one of my businesses did really, really well and allowed me to semi-retire. By that I mean I was working a soft 20, 25 hours a week, which as an entrepreneur, if you've ever run your own business before, you typically work 60, 70 hours a week. It's just massive. So 25 felt like I wasn't doing anything, so it was great. But then I did that at my first, my first retirement, you could say. And it was a semi-retirement, and then the dream was obviously to move that into full time. I mean, that's an obvious plan. I had this semi-retirement that I was absolutely loving, and I'll tell you about it in a sec. And then the first idea was, hey, let's just make that when the full retirement, when I can achieve that, then this is obviously the plan. And so what was that? That was, I was still married to my first wife, and we had built a beautiful, I had rebuilt a kind of a lately historic cottage grandfathered in on top of a dune on 20 miles of gorgeous sandy beach on Lake Huron in North Michigan. Normally, Lake Huron has pretty crappy beach frontage. It's not nice. But there's a little spot around the city of Oscoda, which is where I was. It goes about 20 miles, and it's gorgeous. We were there for 13 years. There was a financial crisis around that time, and the big real estate market crash, that whole thing. And having a second home that cost more than my main house, where my kids were in school and all that, no longer made a whole lot of financial sense for old Rob. So I hung on to it for a few years, rode the crash out a bit, let prices at least rebound a little bit. I hated to sell it for like a quarter on the dollar or something, but I took some. I broke even on it. I own prime beachfront. I mean, you could argue the prettiest house on the beach for probably 5 miles either way. It was a gorgeous place. It looked like Jimmy Buffett exploded into architecture. It was really a great beach house, Key West kind of themed place. If I could find a picture, I'll throw one in. It was just stunning. And I broke even on it after owning it for 13 years. That's pathetic. So I should write a book on how to lose money in real estate because I never really did well in any of my real estate. I don't know why. You would think being in construction I'd be smarter, but apparently I'm not. Anyhow, so that was the first. That was kind of the first one. But the poignant part is though, it's isolating. It's very cold weather in northern Michigan. The summer season's maybe 5 months long or 4 months long at the most. It's the prime season's only 3 months. And you got the spaghetti special on Wednesday at the local pub, and then this other pub had the Paul Bunyan special, I think they called it, where the lumberjack. It was a stack of pancakes with a fried egg on top and a couple pieces of bacon crossed on top of the whole thing, and you'd drown it in butter and syrup, and it must have been 2,000 calories. And I wonder why I was fat. And I'd have that once a week, and it was delicious, though. Now I kind of miss it. Although I couldn't finish it now if you paid me. I couldn't eat. I'd probably be sick. Comparing it to how I'm living now, I mean, there's just no comparison. So my point is, on one hand, that was my dream retirement, and I was really upset and not happy that didn't pan out, and I was essentially forced to sell it. And by that time, my wife at the time and I were probably had downgraded to like moderately happy together. Probably like, I'm going to guess and say a lot of married couples based on what my friends were telling me at the time and what they still tell me. But to me, hey, well, this is great. This is the best thing I can think of. And it went away, and I was upset about it. And that was very expensive. I'll tell you, that was the most expensive of the 3 retirements. A spoiler alert: each one has gotten successively cheaper, and I've gotten successfully happier. Isn't this weird? So then I went back, nose to the grindstone, back to work, reinvented myself yet again as a small business entrepreneur and inventor. You're always kind of reinventing yourself, and so I had started a couple other businesses. One was my aluminum architectural hardware company, which became really, in a small way, not big money successful. It made about $100,000 a year, give or take, but it required almost no hours. And then in my spare time, I did tile projects and light remodeling projects with my son, who's an adult with autism, and we're best friends. We're best friends to this day. We survived the divorce, best friends every day through the divorce, and never one hiccup in our relationship, which is I'm so thankful. That's one of the things I'm super thankful for. And I do well with my daughter as well, but this is about my son because we work together. So then working with my son became more fun than I could ever imagine, and I was kind of even just with that alone having more fun than this first dream big retirement I had planned, which would have taken a lot of money to the monthly burn for that would have been massive because it was I'll tell you, it was a $700,000 property on the beach and on Lake Huron. I mean, it would just, you're not going to get by on that lightly. It's just the taxes alone were killer, But not bragging because I couldn't keep it, so it's definitely not a brag, okay? If you lose money, you're not bragging. So I had more fun just working with my boy and doing that. And then eventually, my ex-wife actually found an insanely cheap, I'll tell you, it was $30,000. Now, I couldn't believe any real estate in Michigan was that price. But this one beautiful small town of Port Austin, Michigan, on the tip, Michigan shaped like a mitten. And on the very, very like geometric center tip of the thumb is this little town called Port Austin, one of the absolute prettiest small towns in the entire state of Michigan. And it's known for that. It's not just that's my opinion, but many people would be agreeing with me. And for $30,000, I mean, now it was a total dump. I've got a deep background in all this, and even for me, after I bought it, I was like, did I make a mistake? Do I have to knock this down? It was borderline a knockdown. But I was able to save the structure. It actually wasn't as bad as I thought. Once I put a couple of braces and a couple of beams in the right spots and then dried it, the structure was perpetually damp. Once I dried it, all of a sudden everything was fine. And then we were able to save it. We went from there. And then my son and I hand-built an addition on the back. I think he and I did almost the whole thing. That's probably was the last nail in the coffin of my spine. And after that, I needed a series of surgeries. And I whatever, COVID got me and all that. But through COVID, I rebuilt this other cottage in Port Austin. In fact, I bought the lumber and all the materials for it, one great big pile. It was like $5,000 cash because it was a small cottage. It was a small addition. And then the prices skyrocketed, and I was kind of laughing at the world, drinking my beer margaritas and doing carpentry. And that was one of the last times I was kind of vibrant and had a lot of energy. And before aging and a series of back spinal surgeries really just those two together. I'm struggling to just kind of climb back whatever I can, but I'll never be like what I was then. I was still in gorilla mode. I was really killing it. I was. I was physically very different from what I am today, and you got to expect that too. Anyhow, so did that, and I thought, wow, this is great. This is even better than the last retirement. So retirement number 2. So I again, my aluminum business, and then this tile and renovating business with my boy, and I sold another company, got some cash from that, and blah blah blah. And here I am. I'm back. I'm doing the Elton John "I'm Still Standing" thing again. And this is great. And even better than the first one. Oh, wonderful. And then my marriage kind of just really went downhill after that. I called it the love nest. It'll be our love nest, be romantic. I was really trying to revive the marriage and the glow of having a new place and me giving this new place. And not saying anybody else is bad, but just from my perspective, that glow lasted about a year. And then we were kind of back to not doing so great. And I was, back to feeling lonely and unhappy and all that. And I'm like, But that was, even if my marriage could have been saved and worked out, and no regrets in mine because I did everything I could, but from my perspective. But it was only so great. It was isolating. Again, Michigan, short season, very cold. Being on the tip of a peninsula going into one of the largest bodies of water in the world is, let me just tell you, windy and cold. It's beautiful for 3, 4, maybe 5 months out of the year, and then it's uninhabitable, honestly. And so, we had a main house in Bloomfield Hills, and then we just went, and in the end, she was staying there all the time, and I was in Bloomfield and with my car buddies and doing that. But that was retirement number 2, and that was even better than number 1. It cost a lot less. I went from a $700,000 property on the lake to a total invested of probably $50,000 or a total invested of about $40,000, 3 blocks off the lake, and going from 20 miles of beach to about a quarter mile of beach, and I was happier. They had the perch special over at this one restaurant called The Bank. It was an old bank. It was beautiful, and I became friends with the guy that built that up, and it was kind of a cool guy. And and there was a Pax Beer Garden, PAK''S, Pax Beer Garden. Now they call it Pax Backyard. It was Port Austin Kayak, but they had a beer garden in the back of the kayak rental. You could watch the kayakers and the commercial fishermen come and go. We're small-time commercial fishermen there, and and you can sit there and sip a beer, and I love doing that. That was I'll kind of miss that a little. That was cool. I'd maybe go back one time with my boy on a Friday night and sip a beer sometime, maybe. And then that obviously didn't work out. Got the divorce. My ex really wanted the cottage. I didn't want to be like punitive because this is still, we all got to get along to some level. So I did that. By this time, then I had been learning Thai language in preparation of doing my lifelong goal, because I was feeling pretty physically robust at the time, of studying Muay Thai. Because I'm a 2nd degree black belt. I'm actually registered in Korea, which is not too many Westerners are official registered in Korea as black belt and up. I'm a fairly physical guy. I love contact things and stuff like that. I like all that. I love. Part of me loves fighting. Isn't that weird? But I miss it and I love it. I really wanted to pursue that dream trip, and then of course everything went to heck, and then the surgeries and my health went down, and I just kind of came here to lick my wounds, and I've stayed. And I made a success out of this myself by putting in the work again for a 3rd time. This is by far the cheapest retirement, and it's by far the best. So where the first ones, I'd have to endure these long cold winters and reading by the fireplace, and I could have a room dedicated to weightlifting, and and I'm a big push-up guy. You can do 300, 400 push-ups in a day, and you do that once a week, and let me tell you, you're going to get muscular. You don't need a lot of weights. It's amazing what you can do with very little if you need to. And all that, but really, the Wednesday spaghetti special down at the local little small town is only so attractive. And at any of those places, you're never a local anyways. You're always a rich outsider who, even in a $40,000 cottage, they'll still look at you as a rich outsider or at least an invader of some kind. Everybody always wants to have this thing that they're them and you're not them. And whether I'm in Thailand or in Port Austin or in the Oscoda area, it's the same flipping thing. I mean, the language is different here, but I've been able to overcome that, and then I don't have a problem with that anymore either. I'm not fluent, and I don't know that I necessarily aspire to be, but functionally, if you hung around with me for the day, you'd probably think I was fluent, but I'm not. I'm going to tell you flat out I'm not. I have lessons with Usanit again today. My teacher, Kurt Usanit, I'll throw it on the screen. I try to put that in every video. And I've got a lesson with her today. She uses me as kind of like in her advanced classes or mid-level to advanced. She'll invite me and to kind of like ask the tough questions maybe sometimes, because we have a long time friendship. We've been friends for, gosh, it's almost 5 years now, and isn't that crazy how time flies? And so there's a we can kibitz back and forth and whatnot, and I guess she feels it adds something to the class because she keeps inviting me. So I try not to interrupt too much, but I just sort of do my thing. So and occasionally I run across a nice guy that's actually worth having a beer with, which is not terrible. Although I do kind of like my own time these days. I guess that's psychologically fairly common for a guy in his 60s. We get to be, I was always kind of a loner anyways, and now I'm really turning into one. But I don't want to be a hermit. I don't want to do that. Anyway, so here we are on retirement number 3. I'll try and throw a picture up. I've hired this, apparently I can tell you now in hindsight correctly, the right person. He's a real motorcycle enthusiast. He loves classic motorcycles, same as I do. He likes the kind of what they call Cholo or Chicano style, which I've got no Latin blood in my family lineage at all that I'm aware of. But I love that style of motorcycle for some reason. I don't know why, but we both like that. And so he's been going over, we've been having this fun of, he's like, Rob, should I rotate the front fender forward 1 inch? Let me show you this way or that way. And I'm like, oh gosh, forward 1 inch does look a lot sweeter. Let's do that. And then he custom made these gorgeous brackets that, I mean, gee whiz, it's a shame to not have them be more visible. But you get what I'm saying. So here versus wearing my scruffy clothing and riding out these 7-month cold winters and putting on probably more weight in these remote towns where my first 2 retirements were planned. Here I am riding my custom Harley Davidson chopper thing to the gym. I'm getting ripped. I'll never get totally ripped, but I'm not that much less fit looking than like, was it JFK Jr., the health department, whatever I'm just saying, I'm fit, not quite as much as he is, but I'm in that ballpark. I'm in almost the best shape of my life. Other than my mobility limits on all the surgeries don't go away because you stay fit. No, it doesn't magically heal, but you get what I'm saying. I'm enjoying it as much as I can, and I'm happy with it. There you go. And I mentioned it, was it a half dozen videos ago or something? It was guacamole rich. I'm definitely guacamole rich, and that was What is Rich in Retirement, I think it's called, or something. If I have it, I'll throw a thumbnail up. But I'm proud of that video. I like it. I shot that in Bangkok. Yeah, and so here we are, retirement number 3, the cheapest retirement by far, and I'm overwhelmingly happier. Fawn has the absolute most appropriate name ever. She fawns all over me every day. She treats me fantastic. A traditional Thai woman, a Thai-Isan woman, or someone from the Thai Kolat area, they are famous for how they care for their men, and I love it. She irons my underwear. I'm like, you don't have to do all this, but for her culture, she has to, and I get that, and that's fine. Last night we had a great dinner at O&D restaurant. No photo, sorry, I didn't take a photo last night. We were both tired, just kind of chilling, but I should have taken a pic. But great outdoor beer garden, so kind of like PAX, I guess. There you go. Maybe that's why I like that place. And this guy, Detlef, runs it, and he's a good cook. He and his wife are really good cooks. I think he does a lot of the cooking himself. And his German sausage, being a German, is fantastic. It's absolutely killer. Some of the very, very best I've ever had in my life, and it's reasonably priced. And he has a meatball sandwich that'll put any meatball sandwich to shame. And when I go there, I try to eat half and take half for the next day because the meals are big. But no, I mean, the weather, I love this weather. 12 months out of the year, you got great weather. There's, ironically, right after winter's over, it quickly snaps into the hottest time of the year, in my opinion. People have different opinions on what they consider the hottest. But when the heat first hits, I'm not used to it because I'm used to the winter temperatures here, and it takes me a little bit to get my legs under me, so to speak. And but other than that, and I can go home during those times. Whenever I feel like it's getting kind of like the heat of that year is really coming on, that's a good time for me to go home, spend a month with my boy, and then go visit my daughter and do all that stuff. And then I've got my friends I see back home, and I've had several reach out and text me, and I've got about a handful of sort of soft appointments lined up with people that I really love and care about, and people that have asked and care about Me. It's a shorter list every year. I'm sorry to tell you, but you knew that already. And but that's fun. I hate to travel. I hate the flight. The day and a half with the layovers traveling, and it's very hard on my back, very hard on my body, my arthritis, and just being in my 60s and all. It's just uncomfortable, and it's emotionally or mentally, it's a lot of getting to the right gate, and then they always change stuff. These international flights, and I need to get better at this. Maybe next year I'll try and pay more money and get a direct flight if I can or something. But it's hard to find direct flights. But I'm going to try and do better next year. This is hopefully the last year of the crummy connections. I think that if you're thinking about retiring, you're coming up on it, or you're just making your plans, I would say look at overseas, because very, very few of us have the piles of cash it takes to do this and stay in the West anyways. And as you get older, you don't want to be a burden to your kids, and here you're living more independently. You can have if you can find a good old culture Thai family and woman, and you need both, the woman and her family, that are caring to provide the care for you as you age, then you're not burdening your kids. You're getting that care all the time. And then when you come home, your kids are happy to see you and happy to give you a little extra care or help or support or whatever, because you're not nagging them for stuff. You're not bugging them for, hassling them for that all the time every week, right? So I think that's better. And a young, beautiful woman will put a certain pep in your step. Us guys like female attention, and young, pretty female attention is probably preferred by most guys, I would think. And then if there's things you like to do, and getting out and walking, right? Those, look up Blue Zone studies, Blue Zone. There was, I think it was CNN did this. I'm not a huge CNN fan, to be honest with you, but they did this 15 years ago, I think, or something, and there's various small, teeny, tiny geographic locations around the world where people live substantially longer than everybody all around them. And then they looked at the reasons why. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why I mention this is moving naturally throughout the day is one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself. Well, my friend, that requires weather. You need good, reasonable weather to be out and about, walking, carrying light weights, doing a chore or a task, or running an errand. I submit for your consideration that riding my great big 750-pound Harley Davidson around is good exercise for me at age 61. And it's helping me live longer. Damn thing's practically a treadmill. Which I'm probably going to buy. In the new house, I plan on buying a treadmill. So anyhow, so that's about it. This is the third retirement, the cheapest retirement. I'm overwhelmingly the happiest, which is sort of sad that I can say that, but it is what it is. I am but one person. Some of the 8 billion others contributed in that fact being true, and that I cannot help, and so that I don't care about. I'm going to move on and do me. Speaking of that, I have an appointment for a massage today, and then I've got my Thai lesson. I've got my mediocre cappuccino from Amazon Cafe. Yeah, maybe I'll try and, I'm going to probably hit Starbucks. I don't like the Starbucks back in the States much. At least not the ones in Detroit typically aren't all that great. But some good ones, of course. But there's a particularly good one at the mall in Korat. So can do that. Anyway, so take care. I hope this video inspires you to think about your retirement and put some real thought into it. And consider being guacamole rich, which is rich enough to buy the $4 guacamole with your meal and not worrying about it, versus trying to be rich and collect Rolexes or Porsches or something. Because the first one will make you happy. The second one won't. Take care. God bless. Feeling a little better. Man, when you're 60, just climbing out of the holes, just straight up bitch. There's no other way to say it. And some of the spending has been slowing down on the house, which is good because I really don't want to spend anymore. I really don't. It's getting real close to that 2 million baht level, and that's a mild pinch point for me within my budget. And I don't want to go past my budget because my budget will allow me to live comfortably for the rest of my life, no matter how long I live. I like that idea. I like the idea of living like a long time and not being broke. That would be nice. This week, I hit the gym 4 times already. Love that. Every real careful, real slow, light baby weights, doing the whole thing. Give myself about 3 days to rebuild, and then I'll start over again. And then go through another slow, careful, easy, real careful workout sequence. It's so hard. I'll tell you, if you ever have major back surgery and have it like almost once a year for 4 years, leg day really is rough. But I have to do it. I can feel I'm building the connection through my nerves. I can feel more control over my legs and feet as I do this, but dang, it's painful. So there's a great room. Chandelier's got to come down. I assembled a chain for that. The brick wall here is done and grouted. Looks nice. Got my castle hallway that I really like. This is my private library. These walls will get one more coat of final paint after everybody's the heck out of here. They're thinking about cleaning up my boards in here, which is nice. That's a surprise I'll reveal at some point in the future. That's gonna be quite interesting. If you're an Anthony Hopkins fan, you'll know what that is. And stairway looks fantastic. If they would have asked me, I would have said stairway in black, but they said the guy, I had orange paint laying around. All the other metal is orange. Why would he not think that's orange? So I get it. And the bathroom is almost done. Sky blue ceiling. It's got one more coat of paint at least. But the whole, if I can kind of get the whole picture here, the room is quite pretty in total. Just needs the last few tiles. I don't think the guys worked on those yet. They've got the guest room tile coming in. Looks really good here with the flows from the floor on the main room. I love these columns are in different brick and stone. Very eclectic. I'm kind of an eclectic guy. Then the guest bathroom is really nice and generous. I think very simple. And then you can see Fawn's kitchen. We did a gloss floor, which is slippery and a little dangerous. I thought for my old age, I didn't want too many gloss floors because they are dangerous as one gets older. In the back, the touch-up and trim paint's just about all done. It's looking really pretty. I need to touch up the orange on the wall. But I'll probably get to that like Christmas or something. I'll hire somebody to do that, or maybe Kun Paul will probably do it for me, hopefully after his harvest season or something like that. View every morning, my big ass double teak doors. Just a lovely view. No houses, just nice view of the rice fields. Here I just kind of wanted to give an opportunity for some guys to see sort of the general area surrounding where I've chosen to live. These are typical houses that I see near me. Some of these streets are extremely close to where I live, so this gives you a very accurate representation of what this area sort of looks like. To me, I find a beauty in just seeing how people work hard to make their way through life and all that stuff, you know. And I find riding my motorcycle through these roads extremely peaceful. This is the road actually right behind my house. In fact, up here, I think, let's see if I remember this correctly, we're going to be making a right turn at this intersection. And to the right-hand side, if you see it, there's a working farm. They put in an engineered pond, I'll call it. They're doing some kind of shrimp farming or something. I have no freaking clue, really. There's the back of my house and the back of my wall. The back of the wall is not painted orange, the same as the front. Obviously, I'm not going to waste the paint. Here's an advantage of being able to speak and read Thai. I went up to this little curly pie stand and was able to read quickly that they were peanut and chicken and other flavors and order what I wanted. It was nice. And here I'm just throwing in a nice shot of me and Fawn. This is at that market where I bought the curly pies, right in Johor. Very nice. It's a nice little spot, great little market. We hit there almost once a week. And here's the breakfast that Fawn made for me yesterday morning. That was Saturday. Saturday and Sunday, she typically makes me a big breakfast. Honestly, slightly too big, but I try to eat it. It's good to eat a big meal in the morning anyways. Thank you for watching my YouTube video. If you've watched this far, please consider hitting like and subscribe.